GATE 2012 with 90.7 percentile. And he has a patent on low cost, novel heterogeneous catalyst for biodiesel synthesis and published two patents in the Patent Journal India. And he has published 41 papers in reputed journals and guiding four research scholars. And it's my pleasure to welcome you in this session, sir. And now I request Dr. Dinesh Balasubramanian, sir, to discuss his presentation on role of battery thermal management system in electric vehicle. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. So, whether I'm audible to you, whether the screen is visible?
Yeah, sir, your screen is visible and you're audible, sir.
Okay. So I'd like to thank the management, principal, head of the institution and the organizer for giving such an interesting opportunity to explore my perspective on your faculty development program. So without further delay, let me just move into the presentation. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks for the brief introduction also. So the overall session is scheduled in this particular fashion. We will have a brief introduction, followed by I will just make you to walk through the recent research progress in battery thermal management system. And at the end of the slide, we'll have a brief conclusion session for the same. So in most often case, I will just try to start with recent news, so that way you can try to understand the importance of this particular topic at this scenario. So India is poised to be one of the largest electric mobility market in the coming decade. So one main reason is India is highly populated. Apart from that, the transition India facing from conversion of pure internal combustion engine to EV make India poised to be one of the largest electric mobility market in the coming decade. And government push to curb pollution and reduce reliance on the import dependency of the fossil fuel. You can just feel the sensation of price hike on the crude oil price, and you can also feel the penetration of EV vehicles then and there in road surface as of now. And closely related with whatever we have said earlier, Zomato along with Flipkart have make a huge statement as of now. So this was new. This was the news in air by 6 June 2021. So Zomato and Flipkart has make one major statement that they will convert all their transportation vehicle, particularly door-to-door delivery vehicle, into pure EV by the year of 2030. By the year of 2030, most of the vehicles that is used for door-to-door delivery would be transported or get converted into pure EV. And Flipkart has also come up with the same pledge that they will also convert all their door-to-door delivery vehicles into pure EV by 2030. And along with Flipkart, Zomato, and remaining e-marketers have also joined hand at this particular point of time to convert all their vehicles into EV. And one thing that is common in both the news is the term electric vehicle. And when you talk more about electric vehicle, we should also focus on the charging station, because for EV, we need charging station for a better propulsion. So along with this was the news in air that Tata Power has installed over 400 EV charging station across India, and they have targeted nearly 700 plus charging station by the end of December. So all put together, you can just see the term EV is repeatedly in air, and we should appreciate the organizer for taking this particular topic and allowing the research uh, people to discuss more about this to the teachers and the students. And talking about the road to EV adoption, a review of government targets and policies. The government is also making a key interest to penetrate the EV at a greater percentage in India especially. So in related with it, the government is targeting different policies according to their regional impact and giving extensive incentives for the better penetration. So the state is ready with EV policy framework. In this related, Tamil Nadu has accepted its EV policy by September 2019, if I'm not sure. And each and every state have their own EV policy according to their regional impact. Because whatever the EV policy that is adapted in India is far different from whatever the EV policy that is adapted in Delhi. So talking about the EV policy in Delhi, electric two-wheelers e-rickshaw goods carrier will receive an incentive of around 30K, whereas electric cars would receive an incentive of around 10K to 150K. And apart from that, government is also planning to make public charging facilities for every 3 kilometers in Delhi. So for us, concerning about Delhi, the charging station that has been planned is for every 3 kilometers. But whereas in Tamil Nadu, the charging station is planned for every 25 kilometers. So us, Delhi is highly populated and it is exactly at the center of our nation. Relying on the impact of pollution, the charging station has been planned for every 3 kilometers in Delhi, and the charging station for Tamil Nadu has been planned for every 25 kilometers. So, based upon the regional impact, the state policies have an outline a good mix of demand incentives for promoting EV adoption in their region. So each and every region will have their own demand, and in accordance with that, the EV policy has been framed, and EV policy has been initiated by different states at different time scale. So as of now, merely most of the state has been approved for the EV policies as of now. So the road tax exemptions complement the FAME to purchase and should be implemented at the earliest. And as of now, the FAME to purchase have given an additional incentive of around 20 to 30% for the EV vehicle purchase. So all put together, India is currently in its transition stage from converting all its internal combustion engine into EV. And talking about the introduction of EV, as we discussed earlier, by 2014, the penetration of EV was not too high. But as the year keep on increasing, the penetration have slowly started to make its mark in its automotive market field. And by 2030, it is predicted that it would reach its peak. So it relies well with whatever the news that we have discussed earlier, that is Zomato and Flipkart has make a very big statement that they will convert all their door-to-door delivery vehicles into EV. So it is predicted that by 2030, India would face a huge population of EV vehicles as of now. And talking about the sales of EV vehicles from 2010 to 2050, the percentage of EV vehicles sold in 2010 was purely dominant by pure internal combustion engine. But as the year keep on increasing, the penetration of either hybrid vehicle or EV has started its role by 2020 and later on. You can just even see news related with hybrid vehicle as of now, because you can't completely remove the internal combustion engine from the automotive sector as it is. So to make the internal combustion engine alive, the internal combustion engine will be alive only by the name of hybrid vehicle or by plug-in hybrid vehicle, considering the primary energy would be your internal combustion engine. So hybrid vehicle talks about making use of two sources. So where you will be making use of internal combustion engine and the electric motor plus battery combination. In this particular case, according to the end wheel demand, maximum amount of power would be delivered only from your internal combustion engine. That is 51% of power would be delivered from your internal combustion engine, and the maximum percentage of power that can be delivered from your battery plus EV combination would be 49%. With respect to this 49% only, they have classifying the vehicles in with by the term of degree of hybridization. So they will just call this classification as micro hybrid, mild hybrid, and full hybrid. So in terms of micro hybrid, it would be the degree of hybridization would be 5 to 10. And talking about mild hybrid, it would be till 30. And talking about full hybrid, it would be till 49.99%. In any worst scenario, they won't try to exceed the hybridization percentage not above 49.99% or 50%. If it is getting converted above or if it is getting enhanced above 50%, then the primary energy would be the EV and the secondary energy would be your internal combustion engine. So to make internal combustion engine alive for next 10 to 20 years, the overall automotive market will have the internal combustion engine only by the name of hybrid vehicle. And even though in this hybrid vehicle, the role of electric plus motor combination percentage would be keep on increasing. So you can also browse about Fasino. Fasino vehicle has come up with its 125cc hybrid vehicle as of now. So this was the news in here merely a week ago. So the Fasino vehicle have started to launch its hybrid vehicle, which is actually a mild hybrid vehicle. So whereas the battery plus motor would assist you in certain certain critical condition to deliver excess power for the propulsion. So, in accordance with this particular statement, by 2020, we are currently in 2020, the penetration of hybrid vehicle have slowly started its role in the overall statistical data collected from 2010 to 2050. So, the internal combustion engine will be alive only by the name of either hybrid vehicle or plug-in hybrid vehicle, whereas the EV and fuel cell based vehicle would make a dominant role only after 2030 or later. And the percentage of vehicle that is based on pure internal combustion engine will slowly lose its value after 2020 or 2030. Sorry, after 2025 or 2030. So this is what is the current scenario of the electric vehicle population in India. And talking about the electric vehicle market worldwide, the percentage of electric vehicle sales is keep on increasing. It is not that only Tesla rule the automotive market field in terms of electric vehicle. Renault, Hyundai, Volkswagen, each and every automotive makers have tried to come up with their own EV variant to have a sustainable future in terms of their automotive market field. And you might have also heard about the news where the Ford vehicle has called upon all its internal combustion engine vehicle and its production in India. So as European nation is completely getting switched over from ICE to EV, the production of internal combustion engine have slowly started to lose its pace as of now. So this is what is the current scenario of internal combustion engine in India and worldwide. So talking about the history of electric cars, nothing is new under this horizon. Both electric cars and internal combustion engines started their career at the same time scale. It is actually merely 100 years back. So we need to walk back 100 years and look what actually happened at that particular time scale. It was in 1832, the first crude electric vehicle was developed. So kindly make a note of the time scale. It was in 1832, the first crude electric vehicle was introduced. And it was in 1893 the gas-powered internal combustion engine was commercialized. So it was in 1893 the gas-powered internal combustion engine was commercialized. When you just try to look back these numbers in detail, both are under same horizon. Both have started their career only in 18th century. And even at that particular point of time, that is in 1899, the electric vehicle gained popularity among the society women. So society women highly preferred electric vehicle and neglected the internal combustion engine because at that early time scale you need to have an external manpower to crank your engine from the front side, and whatever the emission the vehicle emit from the rear side was enormously high. So that is the reason why even society women highly preferred electric vehicle and they have neglected the internal combustion engine at the late 18th century. Then what actually happened to electric vehicle and why it loses its market share will be discussed in the next slide. And it was in 1901 the first electric vehicle with battery was introduced to the human mankind. It was in 1901 the first battery powered electric vehicle was introduced to the human mankind, but we are just discussing about the same electric vehicles in 2021. So for past this entire time scale, only the internal combustion engine was ruling the whole automotive market field. And it was in 1901 the first hybrid vehicle was invented, whereas Toyota Prius have come up with its hybrid vehicle only by 2020, sorry 20K. So it took nearly another 100 years to get a commercialized hybrid vehicle. And it was where the internal combustion engine slowly started to gain its market share. And after that, the decline of electric vehicle has been initiated. It was in the time scale between 1920 to 1935. The decline of electric vehicle has started. So one of the main reasons for the decline of electric vehicle at that time scale was that the weight of the vehicle was enormously high. The weight of the motor and the battery made an excess pressure on the automotive market manufacturers to make electric vehicle sales to a greater percentage, and the term refueling and recharging create an excess pressure on the owners of electric vehicles. So all put together, people have slowly started to switch over from the electric vehicle to pure internal combustion engine vehicle. So the internal combustion engine was ruling or the monopoly based vehicle in the time scale from 1920 to 1950. So mainly 1920 to 1950, only the internal combustion engine was slowly ruling the entire automotive market field. And after that, once again, a small issue has been raised. That is, it was in 1968 to 1973, the gas price has slowly started to rise, and the dependency or the price of gas price is depend upon one particular nation for the entire world. So all put together create an excess pressure on the automotive manufacturers, and people have slowly started to think about creating an alternate based energy source rather relying on one nation for the gas price. And it was in 1971 the electric vehicle gained its popularity as the NASA lunar rover runs on pure electricity, helping the rise of profile of electric vehicle. So once again, it was in 1970 the electric vehicle was there in use, and it created a minimal impact on the automotive market field. And it was in 1973 the next generation electric vehicle was introduced to the automotive manufacturers. So it is nothing but the General Motor developed a prototype based urban electric car. So they have actually come up with an urban electric car itself that is actually a prototype which runs on pure electric vehicle, which is runs on pure electricity. So displayed in the first symposium held on 1973. So it was in 1973 where the electric vehicle gained its popularity. One particular reason is because of the fuel price have started to rise, and the dependency of fuel price on one particular nation create excess threat on the price fluctuation in near future. And it was in 1977 the first hybrid vehicle was introduced. So we are very much aware that it was in 1901 the hybrid vehicle was invented, and it was in 20K the first hybrid vehicle was get commercialized. So it took nearly 100 years for getting a commercialized vehicle after its invention. And even this was one of the major impact. And after that, it was in 2006, the Silicon Valley based startup make a very big statement to the entire automotive manufacture field. So it is nothing but the Tesla. So whatever they stated is that they announced that they will just produce a luxury electric sports car with a range of 200 plus miles. So this was actually an unachievable target at that particular point of time, and even now they have succeeded to a greater percentage. And because of this particular statement, most of the automotive manufacturers have started to accelerate their work on their own pure EV. So as of now, you can just see the percentage of EV share to the entire world earlier. So it whereas Tesla make a statement in 2006, and as of now they have having a market share of around 14%. And in that meantime, only the different companies relying with the automotive manufacturers have started their own EV schemes, and slowly they have also gained their percentage on EV market as of now. So because of Tesla only, and this particular statement have accelerated their own EV vehicles as of now. I hope now you are having a clear view about the history of EV and internal combustion engine, and any vehicle propelled by electric drivetrain draining power from a rechargeable battery or from a portable refillable electric source is manufactured for a public use. So one particular statement that talking about the advantage of EV is that the electric vehicle doesn't emit tailpipe emission. So EV have no tailpipe emission and reduce air pollution in cities due to SOx, NOx, and PM could be drastically reduced. So India is facing an issue because of the pollution accumulation. The pollution accumulation. So India is facing an issue because of pollution accumulation. Think about you are in a traffic where merely there are 100 vehicles getting stuck over there in the traffic. If these 100 vehicle is if this 100 vehicle are only pure internal combustion engine vehicle, and if it is kept in an idle condition, what about the emission that these 100 vehicles emit would be get accumulated in this particular zone, and it would entirely affect whatever the human mankind present over there. But when you're just having an internal combustion engine and traveling in a highway, there won't be much big traffic in the highways, and the emission accumulation would not be much more higher when you are just dealing with the highways. The main issue with the internal combustion engine is that the pollution accumulation in much more congested area or in traffic zone. This can be completely reduced when you are just dealing with the pure EV. So when you are just dealing with pure EV or plug-in hybrid vehicle, when you're just having hybrid vehicle at idle condition, most of your vehicle would be get converted into EV mode. So the accumulation of pollution can be entirely reduced when you're just dealing with either HV or EV. And talking about the tailpipe emission reduction, when you're just getting converted into EV, your vehicle won't emit emission. So that is for sure. But what would be the impact for creating the electricity for your vehicle? So when you think about the life cycle analysis of the electricity generation for your EV vehicle, your end user based where end user based condition won't emit emission. That is, whenever you have an electric vehicle, you won't emit emission. But for producing electricity for your vehicle, the thermal power plant or the power plant should run for an excess time and should operate for excess time with an excess energy to produce whatever the demand that you are going to rise in 2030 or later. As discussed earlier, 2030 or later, the electric vehicle population is going to be enormously high. For such a huge demand, the power plant should run for excess time. The primary source energy for power plant would be more or less a fossil fuel energy. So this fossil fuel energy would emit emission. So when you are just converting your vehicle into EV, your vehicle won't emit emission, but whatever the electricity that you get from the power plant would emit excess amount of emission. So this is what is the current scenario of the electric vehicle and its tailpipe emission in near future. As discussed earlier, we are just focused on the battery thermal management system, and we are not focused on the introduction of EV. So in related to the battery thermal management system, I have presented few news, so that way you can just try to understand the importance of it. So as discussed earlier, uh, the electric vehicle have slowly gained its popularity and it would reach its peak by 2030. So this is what I have discussed till the previous slide. But here I have come up with a very contradictory statement, but for whatever I have discussed earlier, that Battery Fire has put BMW and Ford on the back foot just as the electric vehicles take off. So just as the electric vehicle take off, even leading manufacturers like BMW and Ford have faced a small step down in their electric vehicle sales because of one particular issue, that is battery fire. And Hyundai considered the global recall of its electric vehicle Kona. So Hyundai is also having a maximum share in this electric vehicle percentage. So Hyundai has their own electric vehicle named as Kona. So Hyundai has globally called all its electric vehicle Kona after reporting a battery fire issue. So one thing that is common in both the news is battery fire, and because of this battery fire, even leading manufacturers are facing a small decline in its electric vehicle sales at this particular point of time. And vehicles going in a flame aren't new in this electrical era. So they coined this particular era as electrical era, and they have started to create memes with respect to this battery fire issues. So vehicles going up flame aren't new in this particular era, and they have estimated nearly 171K accidents or fire accidents has been took place for past 3 years. So for past years, nearly 1,71,500 accidents has been took up because of this battery fire issue. And you can just see the electric vehicle Kona after a complete battery fire issue and the catastrophic failure of the entire vehicle can be visually seen over here. So this is a pictorial presentation taken from Canada. So because of this particular issue, Hyundai has called upon its entire electric vehicle sales ranging between the timescale of September 2017 to March 2020 that counts to a numerical value of around 77,000. So they have called upon all its 77,000 vehicles to work on one particular issue, that is battery fire. So at this particular point of time, the battery fire issue is killing the percentage of EV market share for the entire world. So what is this battery fire issue and how it can be effectively controlled? So that is what this particular presentation is going to be focused on. Talking about the battery population, uh, we are going to focus more on the lithium ion battery. We'll try to understand what is lithium ion battery and why it is highly preferred. So lithium ion battery demand was not too high by the starting time scale of 2015, but as the year keep on increasing, the demand for lithium ion is going to reach its peak, and the percentage of demand that is particularly for lithium ion batteries would be higher for the passenger EV, as described to the previous news, that by 2030 the electric vehicle is going to rule the entire two-wheeler sector of the automotive market field. With respect to that, all these electric vehicle is going to make use of only lithium-ion based batteries. And the demand for lithium-ion based batteries by the year 2030 would be enormously high, whereas a minimal percentage will be used for the commercial EV and storage or consumer electronics or e-buses. The percentage of EV based vehicle with most use of lithium-ion batteries would vary, but only the passenger EV would rule the entire demand percentage of EV by 2030. And if the demand is too higher, what would be the main source of lithium worldwide? So countries with largest lithium reserves worldwide, according to the statistical data collected as on 2019, the child is leading the entire demand race, which the child would have an and value of around 86, the highest value of its metric ton present worldwide, followed by Australia and Argentina is having the maximum percentage of lithium reserve. Talking about the reserve present in India, yes, India is also having certain percentage of reserve. It is estimated that Karnataka is having a percentage of around 1400 ton, but it won't be much sufficient for whatever the demand that we are going to face in 2030. Another interesting fact is that for the financial year 2017, India has imported and lithium-ion batteries for the price of around 384 million, and it is predicted that, and it has been assured that for the financial year 2019, it would rise to 1.2 billion. And currently, we are in the financial year of 2021. So all put together, the import of the lithium batteries is going to be keep on increasing, and we will face a very big demand, particularly at the year of 2030. So this is what is the current scenario of battery population in India and worldwide, and why this lithium ion battery is preferred, and what is the main reason for choosing this lithium ion battery. So we need to thank Alexander Volta for his invention, where he just experimented the battery working with the zinc and silver initially. He stated that it works on the basic principle of electrochemical potential. So what is this electrochemical potential talks about? So when an atom has a tendency to lose an electron, and when you are able to provide a two different pathway for the ion and electron, so the flow of electron would create electricity, and the flow of ion in the horizontal direction would make you the possibility for charging and discharging. So this what talks about the electrochemical potential. Among the electrochemical series, lithium is having the higher value of the electrochemical series. That is, when you are just trying to expose the lithium either in air or water, it would immediately start to react. When you just expose the lithium to air, what actually happens is it would immediately start to react. The term immediately start to react means it would immediately lose an electron. It would immediately lose an electron, and the lithium would get converted into lithium ion and an electron. So when you are just able to allow this electron to flow through a copper coil, the flow of electron to the copper coil would create the electricity. So this is what is the basic working of any battery. So when talking about the lead acid battery, what you need to do is you need to detach an electron from the existing energy source, and this flow of electron should happen through a coil. When this is allowed to pass through a copper coil, it will produce electricity. So this is the basic working of any batteries. So as lithium is highly unstable, it would be flagged with any stable material. So in most often cases, they would prefer a metal oxide. So inside the metal oxide, the lithium would be allowed to get packed. So as because of it, it would be at a stable state. So once it is getting detached from this metal oxide composition, it would be get converted into lithium ion and an electron. So the for a kind information, when you're focusing on a EV, merely 30 to 50% of your EV vehicle price is because of the presence of battery in it. So your battery consumes merely 50%, the maximum, at a maximum of 50% of your electric vehicle. So in that, the price of lithium and the price of metal oxide, whatever we are going to contribute the maximum percentage. All put together, the price of your electric vehicle depends upon the price of lithium and the metal oxide that you are going to use. And when the demand is keep on rising, people need to think about the alternate energy source rather than lithium. But as of now, the highest percentage of electrochemical series that has been identified is lithium. So that is the reason why the demand for lithium in near future will also be higher at this particular point of time. So our only objective is that you need to detach the lithium from this metal oxide composition. Once you detach the lithium from this metal oxide composition, what actually would happen is that it would be get converted into lithium ion and an electron. So if you're able to separate the lithium atom from this composition, it would be get converted into lithium ion and an electron. And if you're able to provide two different pathway for the same, the flow of electricity would be created. So this could be very much explained with a small uh, pictorial representation that assume lithium is a very mischievous student, and the cobalt oxide is nothing but the metal oxide is the faculty, is the mischievous student. So until and unless the mischievous student and the faculty are so close, they would be much more obedient. So they are just moving for a camp, and once there is a sunset, they have been asked to settle down in their restroom. So the faculty is moving to his guest house, and the lithium or the mischievous student is moving to their dormitory. So once they are get detached, what actually happens is it would be get converted into lithium ion and an electron. So there is a very close barricade closer to them, and outside the barricade there is a swimming pool area. So once they get detached, this mischievous students would try to move to the swimming pool area to have a small play over there. So what they will try to do is, as lithium, for an assumption, as lithium is very thin and electron is bit fat, as lithium is very thin, he just try to pierce through the gap of the barrier and get back to the swimming pool area at a very faster rate. As electron is bit fat, they can't enter into this barrier. So this electron take the longest path to reach the swimming pool area. So I'll just put it up once again. Lithium is the mischievous student and cobalt is the faculty. Until and unless they are very close, they would be much more obedient. Once they are allowed to get detached, it would be get converted into lithium ion and electron. And once it is get detached, the lithium will pass through the barrier and reach the swimming pool area, and the electron would take the longest path to reach the swimming pool area. Here, this is the cathode, and the anode side, the swimming pool area is nothing but your graphite, and the barrier or wall in between is your electrolyte. So with this, you can clearly understand the basic working of a lithium-ion battery. So once a battery is connected, what actually happens is, once the battery is allowed to get charged, what actually happens is, this is a copper plate where the positive ions come and stick over the copper plates. From the lithium cobalt metal oxide composition, the lithium would be allowed to get detached from this composition, where once the lithium is allowed to get detached, the electron would stick over this positive plate, and as the lithium ion is positively charged, it will try to pierce over the barrier and come and settle down in this swimming pool area. That is nothing but the graphite. And once you are just connecting a load to it, the reverse would happen. So once you are trying to connect the load to it, the reverse would happen, where the lithium would get back to its original state and the electron would pass on through this particular pathway and reach back to its original state. So this is how the our only objective is that the electron should always take the longest path, and the electron should never pass through the barrier. If it is allowed to pass through the barrier, it would create a short circuiting and it might create an catastrophic failure. So one of the reasons because of the battery fire issue might be because of the flow of electrons in the horizontal direction. One greatest invention at this particular cycle is that a passionate layer called solid electrolyte layer was formed on the outer side of the electrolyte. So solid electrolyte was formed the outer side of the electrolyte. So for the first time, when the lithium is allowed to get detached from this metal oxide, and when it is allowed to pass through the barrier and come and settle over in this graphite area, what actually happens is it would immediately start with this electrolyte, start to react with this electrolyte and form a barrier on the outer side of the electrolyte. So this barrier restricted the electron horizontal direction. So that is the reason why your mobile phone or your laptop has been always asked to charge for 100% before the first usage. So before the first usage, why it is asked to charge for 100% is that you will be asking all the lithium to move from one particular direction to other particular direction. So that would create a strong barrier on the outer side of the electrolyte. Talking about the battery issues, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries are more suitable energy storage as of now, because it is having an higher value in the electrochemical series. And whatever the energy required to detach the electron from it is very much minimal. And one greater disadvantage is that the lithium-ion battery's performance is closely related with the temperature. Thermal runaway is a phenomenon that can lead to destructive consequences because of the rapid temperature rise, gas generation, or even battery explosion might occur because of this. So to reduce the potential risk of the thermal runaway, a variety of safety mechanism has been introduced in the lithium-ion batteries. One is that the safety vent, thermal fuse, automatic reset, shutdown separator, chemical shuttle, coating, retardant, heat retardant, electrolyte and electrolytes. All these are extensive research area where extensive research are running in these particular terms, which falls under the safety of lithium-ion battery. So for a small description, I have just explained about few of these research areas. So one is the incorporation of safety event. As this is an electrochemical reaction, because of this electrochemical reaction, there is a huge possibility for the formation of gas inside the cell. As when the battery is completely enclosed and the formation of gases keep on increasing, it would create excess pressure on the outer side of the battery, and it will the catastrophic failure of your battery. So to reduce this, there would be a small vent. There is nothing but a small hole on the head of your battery, where whatever the gas that is generated because of the electrochemical reaction can move through this particular hole and get balance with respect to the atmospheric pressure. And next one is the solid electrolyte layer. So you can just see the formation of solid electrolyte layer on the outer side of the uh, electrolyte. So for the first time, when the lithium is allowed to pass through the barrier and come and settle down in the swimming pool area, what actually happens is that the lithium would start to get react with the electrolyte and form a solid electrolyte layer. So this is how the solid electrolyte layer would be looking like. It would restrict the movement of electron in the horizontal direction. You are just being move the shortest distance or the longest distance. If the shortest distance, what actually happens is it creates a short circuiting issue. Next one is the heat retardant heat retardant based material that in between the electrolyte you will have a separator. The separator would be coated with heat retardant material to handle high temperature condition. So these are various safety mechanism or safety devices that is currently in progress in terms of research perspective. And also, so a key operating tool to drive the EV. And the performance of EV actually depends upon the performance of the battery. So talking about the first performance of the battery, the capacity of the battery, the operating period, the discharge rate, and the power density. One of the biggest issue with the battery is it generates heat during charge and discharge. So for the best example, assume your mobile phone. So your mobile phone is having, as of now, only lithium ion or lithium polymer is what you in most of the Android mobiles or iPhone mobiles as of now. So when you are just trying to charge a mobile phone, and after charging, when you just try to touch the outer case of your battery, so considering your mobile phone which is having lithium ion battery, when you just try to charge your battery and touch the outer case of your battery, you can just feel the sensation of heat at the rear side of your battery. It means that at the time of charging, there is a heat generation. So there is nothing but you are just asking the electrons to travel from one particular direction to other particular direction, and this flow of electrons would create heat. And you might have already heard about the heat generation equation in the previous lecture also. So whenever you are just asking to detach the lithium from the metal oxide composition, so this detaching and attaching would create a amount of heat. So this is an exothermic reaction. So all put together would create heat at the time of charging, and at the time of discharge also excess of heat is so the generation calculated in the previous lecture also. So depending upon the discharge rate, excess amount of heat would be created. So assume you are having a mobile phone and it is having initially 100% of charge, and you are just immediately downloading an high-end game. So as like FIFA or any other high-end game which is having area of around 1 GB, 2 GB, and when you're just trying to play it, in most often cases, your battery charge would get down from 100% to 30 or 40% at a very faster time. So this is what talks about the discharge rate. So how fast you are going to drain your battery, and what would be the impact of the flow of electrons in this particular case, and the heat generation at this particular point of time. So this says that would be generated in both of discharging your 40 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. You can just operate your battery in
Yes, sir. Sorry for interruption, sir. There is some audio lag.
to the battery. Sorry, battery.
Sir, Dinesh, sir.
It is clear now, sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry for interruption.
And try to charge your battery, because when you are just at the time of charging, what actually happens is there would be a flow of electron, and this would actually a heat insulation material. So when you are just trying to heat the battery, it would only increase the battery temperature, it would degrade your battery performance and battery life. So that is the reason why even Apple mobile phone manufacturers are suggesting to remove your battery outer case and charge your battery. So the desire of operating temperature.
Sir, again your voice is breaking, sir.
Okay, sir. I could.
Now it's clear, sir.
Now it's clear, sir.
Sir, you have stopped screen sharing, sir.
Hello, sir. Whether it is, can you able to hear me now, sir?
Screen sharing also stopped, sir. We are unable to see your screen also.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Whether it's clear now? Okay. So that is the reason why people are the case to charge your battery. To understand more about this in the upcoming slide. So
Dr. Balasubramanian, sir.
even though it's
Sir, screen
Sorry to interrupt, sir, and we can able to see the screen, sir, but it's
to 6.
it's like
The
a white
battery
blank, sir.
yes, sir.
So we can't able to see your presentation, sir.
Okay, sir. I'll check with it.
Now it's okay, sir.
It seems my
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's clear, sir. It's clear now, sir. Please be continue, sir.
Now. Okay, now it is whether it is clear and can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. We can able to hear you and we can able to see your screen, sir. See your presentation. Please be continue, sir.
Okay. Okay. So that is the reason why you have been asked to remove your key cover and charge your battery. So here is a temperature limit of -40 to 60. The optimal temperature limit is only 15 to 35. So what here comes the term battery thermal management system, that if your temperature goes beyond 35 degrees or if your temperature falls below 15 degrees Celsius, you need to introduce a system to your battery to pull down the temperature between these particular zones. So that is, you are going to thermally manage your battery. So the thermal management to maintain the temperature within this particular operating limit. So if the temperature moves above 35 degrees Celsius, you need to introduce a cooling system. And if your temperature falls below 15 degrees Celsius, you need to introduce a heating system. So this is how you are going to thermally manage your battery. And for safety consideration, your battery temperature should never exceed 60 degrees Celsius. So this what talks about the battery thermal system. Other among the nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride, lead acid battery, lithium ion and lithium polymer. Most often case, I'm going to talk or discuss more about only lithium ion and lithium polymer as of now. So discussing about lithium ion and lithium polymer, the battery would be able to operate between the 20 to 60, whereas its optimal temperature range is only 15 to 35. So once the temperature rise above 35, you need to introduce a cooling system. Once the temperature falls below 15, you need to introduce a heating system. So this what talks about the battery thermal management system. So what would be the impact of battery temperature? What would be the impact of temperature on the battery performance? So initially, let us try to understand the impact of low temperature condition. So this is a pictorial representation for your series hybrid drivetrain, where you are having an internal combustion engine. So the internal combustion engine energy is given to a generator, and that would create the electricity. And because of the assistance of an electric power controller, power electronics, it would be given to a traction motor. And from the traction motor, the power would be transferred to a mechanical unit. So there is nothing but the differential part. And from the mechanical unit, it is allowed to handle your n-wheel demand. So this power flow talks about, or this pictorial representation talks about the series hybrid condition. And assuming your vehicle is in an European condition, which is having a temperature of around -2 degrees Celsius. According to the thermodynamic condition, if the atmospheric temperature is of 2 degrees Celsius or -2 degrees Celsius, more or less, the outer case of your battery or outer case of your vehicle would rely close to this particular condition. So if your battery temperature, battery pack temperature is close to 2 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius, it doesn't accept the rule of -15 to 35 degrees Celsius. That is where we will gain our optimal output for your lithium ion battery. So here the temperature falls below 15 degrees Celsius. So what we need to do is we need to introduce a heating system to handle this particular issue. If you just see very cleanly on this pictorial representation, they have tried to introduce an heater and a air blower. So with an assistance of a heater and an air blower, they will try to pass the hot air to the battery pack. So thereby they will try to raise the temperature from 2 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. So this is how the impact of low temperature condition would be assisted for the battery thermal management system. And the impact on high temperature condition. So our safety limit is 60 degrees Celsius. So our safety limit is 60 degrees Celsius. At any point of time, we should not exceed 60 degrees Celsius. But if you are exceeding the 60 degrees Celsius at the temperature limit of 85 to 120, what actually happens is the solid electrolyte layer would get decomposed. So the solid electrolyte layer is already you're having electrolyte as a barrier. So you will have an excess barrier or excess gate on the rear side of the electrolyte. So this would restrict the movement of electron in the horizontal direction. So when electron is getting a choice that either it can move in the shortest distance or the longer distance, even the electron would take the shortest distance. So you should never allow the electron to move in the horizontal direction. So at 85 to 120, what actually happens is the solid electrolyte layer would get decomposed, and at 120, the graphite anode would start to get react with the electrolyte. So the graphite anode is nothing but the swimming pool area. So for a clear understanding, the graphite won't take part in the overall electrochemical reaction. So it is just like an cushioned area where the electron and the lithium ion would come and settle down. After a time scale, it will just move back. So it won't take part in the chemical reaction. But once the temperature exceeds 120 degrees Celsius, your graphite will start to get react with the electrolyte. So electrolyte is nothing but the barrier. If it is allowed to get react with the electrolyte, the mass of the electrolyte would slowly get reduced. So there would be only a very thin barrier in between the swimming pool area and the accommodate area. So here also the flow of electrons in the horizontal direction possibility would get increased. And what actually happens when the temperature exceeds 130 degrees Celsius is the separator would build. So in between the electrolyte, you will have a separator, a thin sheet layer. So that would start to melt at 130 degrees Celsius, and at 140 your electrolyte would get volatilization, and at 150 what actually happens is the cathode decomposition would happen. So 150 degrees Celsius cathode decomposition is nothing but the faculty and the mischievous student. At 150 degrees Celsius, that is when the faculty is get heated up, what actually happens is without any prior intimation, the faculty and student would get detached. So most often cases, they should be at a combined state only, but any one of these two is get heated up, or once the atmospheric temperature is raised to 150 degrees Celsius, what actually happens is to get relaxed themselves, they will get detached from their composition. So this would immediately form a lithium ion and electron. So without prior intimation, this flow of electron would happen in the horizontal direction. And at 200 degrees Celsius, the electrolyte might completely get decomposed. So all put together, the movement of electron in the horizontal direction would be enhanced when the temperature is raised above 60 degrees Celsius. But in real-time condition, we will face only differential temperature condition. So at certain point of time, we will face a low temperature condition, and certain time we might face a high temperature condition. So differential temperature condition only will be faced with respect to the battery thermal management issue. So even one particular cell is affected because of this battery thermal management system, the entire battery pack might get affected, and it might also result in a catastrophic failure. So I hope now you are having a clear view about the impact of low temperature and high temperature condition. And as India is focusing more on high temperature condition, that is above 35 degrees Celsius, what about the slide we are going to focus on? The upcoming slide talks about only the cooling system. That is when that battery temperature exceed above 35 degrees Celsius, we need to introduce a cooling system to the battery to pull down the temperature between the operating temperature limit of 15 to 35. So this cooling can be done with respect to either liquid, air, or phase change material cooling. So as of this particular case, I'm going to explain about the phase change material. So I hope you are very much aware about what is the phase change material. So the material with significantly large value of phase change enthalpy, example, the latent of fusion or melting or solidification, that has the capability to store large amount of thermal energy. So assume you're having a beaker of water, which is initially at 0 degrees Celsius. And when you just place a thermometer into it and allow to get heated up, you can just see the values keep on changing in this thermometer, which varies from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. So once you attain 100 degrees Celsius, and when you just see the beaker, still it will have a minimal quantity of water. So still it will have the minimal quantity of water. It doesn't mean that the water has reached its boiling point. So it has reached its boiling point. Once it reaches boiling point, it should get converted its phase from liquid to vapor. But for this conversion, it takes certain amount of time. So this is what talks about 0 degrees Celsius, and this is what talks about 100 degrees Celsius. So once you attain 100 degrees Celsius, you will have still certain amount of water. So what you need to do is you need to constantly maintain at 100 degrees Celsius for a time scale. So that is for T is equal to 0 to T is equal to 256 seconds. So for certain time scale, you have to maintain at the same temperature. So this what talks about the latent heat. So this what talks about latent. After that, only the beaker would get empty. After that, only the beaker would get empty. So this constant time scale, which is what highly interested for using the phase change material as an effective battery thermal management system, as an effective part in the battery thermal management system. So we'll discuss more about this in the upcoming slide also. So this what talks about the temperature versus energy plot for your water. So initially your water is at 0 degrees Celsius over here, and here your water is at 100 degrees Celsius. And whatever the energy that actually required to raise your water from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius can be plotted with the area under this particular curve. And when you just try to calculate what is the energy that is required to raise your water from 100 degrees Celsius liquid to 100 degrees Celsius vapor. Believing most of you are from mechanical department, so I have just presented in this particular way. So that is from 100 degrees Celsius to 100 degree vapor. When you try to calculate what is the area under this particular curve, so the area under this particular curve is enormously high. So this high energy is what we are going to effectively use for thermally managing the battery. So that can be able to much more understand with respect to this small math. So assume you are having a beaker which is having a water. Initially the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius, and you have been asked to raise the water from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. If that is the case, when you are able to calculate what is the heat required, so which talks about mCp del T, where mass is 1 kg. So what is the mass of the liquid that you are going to consider? Mass is 1 kg and the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. So del T is 100 and the Cp value is 4186. So when you are just able to calculate what is the heat required, this says that merely 418.6 into 10 power 3 joule is required to raise your temperature from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius liquid. But in the case 2, you have been asked to convert the 100 degrees Celsius liquid to 100 degrees Celsius vapor. So determine the amount of heat absorbed by 1 kg of water to change the phase from liquid to vapor. So the heat of vaporization value has been given over here. As there is no temperature change, the term T has been neglected over here. So the term T has been neglected. The formula talks about M into LV. So the mass is 1 and the LV value, let me hit the value has been given over here. So here you can just see the temperature rise from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius is only 418. But from 100 degrees Celsius liquid to 100 degrees Celsius vapor, you need to give merely 5 times higher amount of energy. So it doesn't mean that attaining the boiling point requires highest amount of energy. So after attaining the boiling point, to get this phase converted from one phase to other. So there are 3 major phases: solid, liquid, and gases. In this particular phase, you are going to convert your water in terms of liquid phase to vapor phase. This phase change requires enormous amount of energy. So you need to supply enormous amount of heat. So that what talks about the phase change material. I hope now you are having a clear view about it. So for this particular case, I have considered an organic PCM. So that is nothing but a candle. So once again, with a small pictorial representation, you can able to understand this. I assume there is a moon rise which is merely 10 o'clock in your home, which is 10 o'clock in your home, and there is a complete power cut. So what you will try to do is you will try to ignite a candle. So you are having a high quality candle in your home. So you are igniting your candle and you move to your bed and you are just waking up once again at morning 4 o'clock. And you just see still your candle is partially alive. You just see still your candle is partially alive. So this what make the paraffin as an interesting phase change material. So the melting point of paraffin is around only 42 degrees Celsius. So the melting point of paraffin is 42 degrees Celsius. So initially it is at solid phase. So once you have started to ignite it, it would reach its melting point at a minimal time. After reaching its melting point, you need to constantly give excess amount of energy for a certain time scale. So after you are able to give that particular energy, then only it would be get converted into liquid. After getting converted into liquid, it will be get converted into vapor, and the overall mass of the candle would get reduced. So here, this PCM is one of the highly interested phase change material that is used in most of your battery thermal management case studies. And one interesting fact about the candle is that it is having one major disadvantage in your battery thermal, paraffin as an effective battery thermal management material is that it is having low thermal conductivity. So you can even hold the candle close to the flame. You can even hold the candle close to your flame. It means that it won't thermally conduct the heat to you. So that is one of the greater disadvantage when you are just dealing with the paraffin wax, because you should absorb the heat from one particular zone and pass it to the atmosphere. So that is what the cooling system that you are going to use should be capable of doing it. And here I have also presented you the time variation of getting converted your paraffin from liquid to solid and solid to liquid. So at T is equal to 0, your paraffin is in liquid form. And when you just try to introduce an cooling system, so it takes merely 30 minutes to form an outermost layer, and it takes merely 90 minutes to completely get solidified. So it doesn't mean that it has reached its solidification point, but you need to constantly maintain for a time scale to completely get converted into solid. And in vice versa case, at T is equal to 0, your wax is in solid form. So at T is equal to 10, you have started to reach the liquid form. So it doesn't mean that you have reached its melting point. So here you have reached it, but you need to constantly maintain for a time scale to completely get converted into liquid. So that can be visually seen when you're just imagine or thinking the same with a candle in your household application. So this is what talks about the organic PCM. So concerning with the time, I'll give you one interesting case study. So that will have a clear view about the importance of the organic PCM in the battery management system. So next talks about the inorganic PCM. So inorganic PCM, the name composed of inorganic molecules. So they are making use of hydrated salts and metallic PCMs. So in this particular case, you will be making use of an copper mesh or salts as inorganic PCM. So it is thermally safe and it is having high latent heat rate. And one greater disadvantage is that the stability of the materials would degrade with respect to the thermal cycle, that is heated up and cooling. And there is an higher possibility for the formation of corrosion between the PCM and the container because of the oxidation issue. So let me just make you to walk through this particular study. So that way you can just to understand whatever we have discussed. So stay on high lithium-ion battery using porous metal saturated with change media. So the study is focused on high power lithium-ion battery, which make use of a porous metal foam and a phase change material. The phase change material is nothing but the wax in your home. So here we have considered a commercial paraffin RT44HC, which is employed as an organic PCM. And effective cooling technique is encapsulated with encapsulating PCM with a metal foam. So here I have considered 3 case studies. One, we have considered a prismatic type cell. So there are total of 9 number of cells. So each cell is placed inside an acrylic box with a gap of merely 5 to 7 mm. So each cell is placed inside the acrylic box with a gap of 5 to 7 mm. So in case 1, air is used as a cooling medium. So in case 1, air is used as a cooling medium. And in case 2, what I have tried to do is I have just melted the paraffin wax. And try to pour in between this battery pack. That is, we have 5 to 7 mm gap in between each prismatic cells. I have tried to pour in between these 9 cells. And in case 3, I have tried to dip a copper mesh. Inside the melted paraffin, and try to place it in between this. So the copper mesh would be looking more often like this. It would be more often looking like this. So this is what the copper mesh. So you will have a sponge-like layer which is of a metallic mesh. So you will try to melt the paraffin wax and try to dip this only 5 to 7
Yes,
mm
sir.
gap. So in case 1, yeah. Yes, sir.
Your voice is again breaking. Okay, now it's okay. You can continue, sir.
Okay. So you're having 5 to 7 mm of gap. So in case 1, air is used as a medium, and case 2, paraffin wax is used as a medium, and case 3, paraffin wax dips inside a copper mesh. So here what we have tried to do is, for cell number 5 and 9, I have tried to couple it with a thermocouple and a DAQ system. So where with respect to T in terms of degree Celsius and T in terms of seconds can be calculated. So here talks about the temperature that is able to trap on the outer side of the tree, and T with respect to the variation in terms of time. So that can be calculated. So in x-axis I have tried to plot the time, and in y-axis I have tried to plot out the temperature. So, the thermocouple is close to one number 5 and cell number 9. So as we are very much aware that the heat would be generated in both charging and discharging part. So there is a possibility of heat generation in both charging and discharging part. Initially at t is equal to 0, I have tried to charge your battery. I have tried to charge the battery for first 100 minutes. For first 100 minutes, I have tried to charge the battery and I have tried to note out what is the atmospheric temperature. So the atmospheric temperature is of initially 24 degrees Celsius. And after that, because of charge getting charged idle for next 50 minutes. So for next 100 minutes. So this talks about the cooling. So initially for 100 minutes I have charged the battery, and after that for next 100 minutes I have discharged the battery, and here comes the discharge rate. So this starts from 1C, 2C, 3C. According to the charge that you have in the battery, you are going to drain the battery at different discharge rate and study what is the impact of temperature with respect to the time. So when you are just trying to discharge the battery, in this particular case, you can just see that the cell number 5 is exceeding the safety limit of your battery. So we are very much aware that the safety limit lies between 60 to 65 degrees Celsius when you are just dealing with your lithium ion battery. So in this particular case study, the cell above 65 degrees Celsius. So what we need to introduce is a system monitor from 65 to the optimal temperature limit of 35 degrees Celsius. So this particular pictorial representation talks about, where the values are plotted between the time versus temperature. When you just try to introduce the wax in between this particular case, so that is in between the prismatic cell of 5 to 7 mm gap, I have tried to pour the wax in between these prismatic cells. So for the same case, the charging pattern looks similar, but there is a drastic change in the discharge pattern, because after attaining the melting point of 42 degrees Celsius, you need to constantly give heat to convert your paraffin from solid phase, that is liquid phase, to vapor phase. So there would be constant heat absorption from your paraffin wax. So that result in drop in temperature. So that result in drop in temperature from 68 degrees Celsius to 53 degrees Celsius. So that can be visually seen with respect to this particular slide. And talking about the incorporation of metallic foam into it. So in most often cases, in the charging rate, we are not reaching the melting point of the paraffin wax. So for the next case, we have considered only the discharge profile. So in the discharge profile, when you are just dealing with pure air, that is natural convection, after the attainment of 42 degrees Celsius, the temperature would be keep on varying in terms of linear variation. But when you are just making use of the wax, so once it attains its melting point, it would started to absorb excess amount of heat to convert from liquid phase to vapor phase. So that result a drop in temperature for both the PCM and PCM with the metallic foam or the metal foam. So this is what this particular slide talks about. And as described earlier, till 42 degrees Celsius, both your air, PCM and PCM with metal, more or less all three would react in a similar fashion. But after attain 42 degrees Celsius, your air profile would be keep on varying in a linear direction, whereas your PCM and PCM metal foam would have a step down in this temperature profile because of the phase change material capability of your PCM and PCM with metal foam. And in this particular zone, it would be in the phase of melting, and after that it would be get converted into liquid. So in most often cases, the temperature absorption would happen when you are just trying to convert your wax from liquid phase to vapor phase. So this what talks about the phase change material capability. And consolidating all three into one single slide. So when you are just making use of only air as a medium, for cell number 9, the temperature for the initial case has been recorded as 68 degrees Celsius. And when you are just able to pour the paraffin wax into it, the temperature have next further step down from 68 to 53 degrees Celsius. And when you are able to club the metallic foam into it, you can just even step down the temperature from 53 to 48 degrees Celsius. But we are very much aware that the temperature limit should lie between 15 to 35 degrees Celsius. Still further cooling can be incorporated to reduce the temperature from 48 to 35. So this is how you can effectively make use of paraffin as a cooling material to pull down the temperature from 68 degrees Celsius to 48 degrees Celsius effectively. I hope now you are having a clear view about the phase change material and its application in the battery thermal management system. And the current research progress that is running is that in most often cases now people only cylindrical type of batteries. So PCM along with the battery pack itself. So battery which will have an 5 to 7 mm of gap outer side of the battery, which would be filled with the PCM, and next to that you will have an aluminum enclosure. So this PCM can be incorporated with nanoparticle or fins, or it can be incorporated with a metal foam. So that way you can just thermally manage your battery temperature in an effective way. So these are the current research progress that is actually running, and people are working also with various fin design. So this is the battery, and this is the phase change material, that is the wax, which will have an plus type of fin, D type, Y type, X type, and different types of fins are allowed to get placed, and they are trying to understand the heat transfer rate between the battery heat generation and that is exposed to the atmosphere condition. And with this, the presentation has been concluded. So in most often cases, I have tried to follow this particular textbook, and here are the various research articles that I have considered for this particular study has been presented. And I have also come up with an review article related to this battery thermal management system in the Journal of Clean Air Production. And if you are interested, I am also able to share that article with you to try to understand more about the importance of this phase change material usage in the battery thermal management system. And I hope I didn't bore you much for past 1 hour and above. And now the session is open to the audience for any queries related to this particular talk. And if you want to know more about me, you can Google me with the name of Dinesh Balasubramanian. And I have also shared my mobile number and email ID. If you have any further clarification, you can just ping me through this mobile number or email ID at any point of time. And now the session is open to the audience. Hello, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the well-informative session, sir. It's my kind request to all the
Thank you, sir.
participants. And if you have any queries, kindly post it in the chat box. And that will be discussed by an eminent speaker. Thank you, Dr. Dinesh Balasubramanian, sir. And you have started with Road to EV adoption for different targets and policies by different governments, and history of electric vehicle, and explain about the lithium-ion battery and its AFSM, and battery thermal management, especially the effect of temperature on battery management. There is the cathode decomposition and electrolyte volatilization with respective temperatures, and the phase change materials for to store the large amount of thermal energy, and the case study on high powered lithium ion batteries using porous metal foam saturated with phase change material. And you gave a very informative session, sir. Thank you. And the question from Magesh Kumar, sir. How
Yes,
to
sir.
proceed the research related to cylindrical type of lithium ion cells, sir?
When dealing with cylindrical type of cells, Tesla is making use of only liquid cooling. So when talking about PCM, you need to think in a different perspective, that whether it is active cooling or passive cooling. So whatever we are discussing about PCM talks about a passive cooling. You doesn't need to give an excess energy and ask it to cool the system. But when you're just dealing with cylindrical cells, the contact area would not be much more sufficient. So at that time, for better contact area, it is better to deal with the liquid cooling. So for liquid cooling, it would be get converted into an active cooling. You need to give excess energy to ask the liquid to pass through the outer side of your battery to cool it. So that is where the liquid cooling lag as of compared to your PCM based cooling. I hope I have answered for your question, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. And we have received a positive response in chat box too. And yeah. Sir,
Okay,
if you
sir.
want to convey something, you can, sir.
Okay.
Related with.
Uh, I would like once again my and organizer for giving and such an interesting opportunity to explore my minimal perspective on this particular topic. So I would like to thank Bibin sir in personal to giving me such an interesting opportunity. So thank you. And for any queries, you can just ping me through this mail ID or contact number at any point of time. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the coordinator of this ATEL FDP, Dr. Bibin sir, Associate Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and on behalf of RMK College of Engineering and Technology, we thank you for this well informative session, sir. Thank you, Dr. Dinesh Balasubramanian, sir. And
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.